Hello. I would just like to talk to you about some of my experiences of clairvoyance. Anybody can buy a pack of tarot cards and say they're a clairvoyant. The truth is, it's the connections that makes a good clairvoyant. As a medium trance channel, trained not only through the Spiritualist Church, but also through some of the best schools in Australia. I'd just like to talk to you and go back to 2004, May the 1st. It was a Saturday, and there was a little psychic fair held in Hexham, England. I remember it well because at the time I didn't have a car and it was very, very difficult to get there. But it had just been a small event. I found it and set up. At the time, I was, and still am, a veteran of psychic fairs throughout Australia and the UK and Portugal. Mastering a 15-minute reading, I found is that basically that's about enough time to give the general reading at a cost-effective price. But I would like to talk to you about Jill, who came in with her husband. Her husband was very interested in psychic fairs and having a reading. Jill never had one. And here's a testimonial. My very first reading with John Campbell, Saturday the 1st, May 2004. As somebody who had an interest in spiritual and New Age thinking, I happened upon John Campbell when visiting my first psychic fair in Hexham, Northumberland. Whilst waiting for my partner to finish his reading with another psychic, I felt drawn to John, and we decided up chatting. Although very nervous and apprehensive, I felt compelled to go through with my first reading. During the tarot reading, I found myself agreeing with almost every statement that John arrived at, including personality traits, past life events, and personal experiences. This was until John was adamant he could see me surrounded by pots of gold and mentioned 6 zero figures. After which, a precise reading, I could not believe that I was hearing and began to doubt all of what was previously said. John told me to prepare for this event as it would occur in the very near future and would change her life. On leaving, she felt very pleased with the reading as a whole, but couldn't accept her life would change financially. 28 days after the reading, she received an ecstatic telephone call from her only brother to say he'd won a staggering £3.7 million on the national lottery. This was made all the more amazing as I'd recently spoken to him and explained the reading I'd received from John, and especially the pots of gold. Because of this conversation, my brother, who very rarely plays the lottery, decided to buy a few lucky dips in the weeks that followed. Although Jill didn't directly win the 6 zeros, she benefited from her brother's good fortune and firmly believes that this was too much of a coincidence to be unconnected with John's prediction. I remember Jill very well, because after the reading I give her, she must have texted me 20, 30 or more times